When does life begin? Does it begin when we're born? Does it begin, when we speak our first words, take our first step? When does life begin? I'm asking this question because I'm doing a reflection. I'm always doing a life review. Every so often I'll review life. I'll go over where I'm at. I'll go over what I've accomplished, what I've, fell short on, what I've learned, and all these different things because every day I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to grow. And I was wondering, when does life begin? And it really wasn't something I was wondering. I have my own answer. And my own answer is life begins when we start to really live. When we start to really live. And what is really living? That's an individual choice. What's important to us? Is it love? Is it romance? Is it a job? Is it, education? Is it things? Material things? Is it, spirituality? Some of us are really deep into our spirituality. I'm spiritual, as you well know. I'm not religious. But, when does life begin? To me, it's when you begin to smile, when you begin to have joy, you begin to laugh, You begin to enjoy a lot of different things. And as we grow and as we learn, we start to avoid some of the pitfalls that have plagued us. We start to learn how to avoid those roadblocks and how to get past roadblocks in life. To me, that's living. That's when we begin to live. When we start to advance, further and further and further into the knowledge of, being alive, I always try to, steer away from things that may have, say, stressful elements. Try to make sure I stay up on top of health things, stay on top of anything that could be a hindrance to my joy and my happiness. And that includes, who I'm around, the environment I'm around, the atmosphere I'm around, negativity versus positivity. I put all those things into the equation. When do life begin? When does life begin, right? When does life begin? And are you already living your best life? Are you already there, And, sometimes it may seem like that we are so far away from living our best life. And it may seem like we are so missing so many elements to live our best life. But what about right here, right now? What good things are going on in our lives right here and right now that we can appreciate? Do we even take the time to appreciate it? Something as simple as a good meal you just ate. Something as good, as simple as, a day that you really enjoyed. A day that some great things happen. Do we take the time to really appreciate that and say, hey, you know what? I'm living. I'm doing this thing. It's kind of funny because, I've heard several people say, hey, well, I woke up this morning. You know what I mean? It's that blessing. I woke up this morning. And so to them, that's living. And I respect that. I really do. I admire that, They keeping it simple. You know what I mean? Keeping it simple. Meaning if you woke up that morning, you already living. I gotta applaud that, standing ovation for me on that. No doubt. I have determined for myself that, living for me is goals. I'm a goal-oriented person, and it's certain things I want to accomplish in this life, and I won't be satisfied till I accomplish them. Period. And it's not for the glory of anyone else, not to get applause, not to get, pats on the back or, need validation from others. This is personal between me and myself. You know, it's when I'm going to be satisfied. I recently experienced, I experienced love and romance and things of that nature, all that's involved in it. And I had worked really, really hard. I had my real first adult encounter. you know, because all of my romantic twists were when I was younger. I was young. I was in my 20s, teens, things of that nature. So, I really hadn't really wasn't really concerned about love no more after a certain period of time. I was just doing my thing. But here recently, in the last, 2 or 3 years or so, all of a sudden love became a factor in my life. And I had to ask myself, how was I going to handle it? I wasn't prepared for it. And it blindsided me, you know what I mean? And the thing is, my first round didn't go as well as I would have hoped. And I take full blame for that. I really do. I take full blame for that because I was ignorant, lack of knowledge, you know what I mean? And we're human beings, so there's nothing wrong with that. We're not going to always get it right. But I decided I wanted to work hard. I wanted to learn more about it. I want to grow in it. I want to be good at it. I don't like to do something I'm not good at. You know what I mean? That's just how I am. When this life began. And for me, it's trying to grow each and every day. We'll never be perfect. Never be perfect. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn. I didn't even realize that everything I was doing, I was trying to be perfect. There's no perfect. Only God is perfect. So I had to learn that hard lesson, And once I learned it, it took a lot of pressure off of me. And I was able to just be myself, And that probably had a lot to do with things why I was not really successful at my, first twist of this love thing. But then all of a sudden I got a second bite at the apple, and and it became this beautiful thing. And so, I'm honored to have met, the woman I met and everything, and it's been a beautiful thing, So when does life begin? Did life begin for me, when I mastered love? Did life begin for me, when I started to learn things I did not understand? Did life begin for me when I realized all of the things I did not know? Is that when life began? I would say yes to all of that. All of that. It's a combinational thing, right? But again, it's an individual experience thing too. Overcoming our fears, overcoming our doubts. I hadn't experienced doubts, in my life until I just hadn't experienced it until about, say, maybe 10 years ago, my first time, and it was weird, and I was like, okay, make that 8 years ago. And all of a sudden I was like, I had my first doubt. Start doubting myself, you know what I mean? What? It was so confusing, experience loneliness for my first time, experience a lot of things, I had never experienced in my life. And, at that period of time, if you say, when does life begin? Well, that's not living. Not when you're living in that type of cycle, of things that are kind of not enhancing you, not making you grow, but hindering you, And so I was glad that the day came when I woke up and realized, hey, this is not you. This is not life. This is not living. And you got to change some things. You have to change some things. And I went to work. And I asked God to join me in my quest. And he and I together took a whole year, and just worked on trying to become a better person, a more mature person, a growing person, you know what I mean? And it's kind of funny because maturity is interesting in the sense that, I've always had a kind of a kid-like mentality, which allowed me to be free. which allowed me to be free. But in the end, how much was I really getting accomplished? I would get all the way this close to success, and then a kid in me could not close the deal. It needed a grown man. You know what I mean? It needed the man in me to take over it and close the deal. And so once I grew and once I learned, how to put the man in me out front and how to enhance the man in me, then life really changed and I began to live. When does life really begin? And it's a question we ask ourselves. It's a question we ask ourselves. And so, when we ask ourselves that question, then, it come down to us saying, hey, well, life begins right here and right now. So, take a minute, think about it, peruse it, and it was just something that was on my mind today. I haven't made a video in a while, long time, been a minute, but, I've been inspired lately, been really inspired lately. I usually tell you about projects I'm working on and all these different things, but I'm not going to do that. Anything I'm working on, anything that I, plan to, roll out, I want it to speak for itself. I'm not going to do any type of, advertising on it. Only thing I'm going to advertise is us being, proud of who we are, happy in our own skin, and joyous, on the occasion of life. When does life begin? It begins today. I'll let you later on.